The pyramids have always been a fascinating subject, haven't they? I mean, just imagine looking at something that's been around for thousands of years, built by human hands without the help of modern machinery. It's incredible to think that the Great Pyramid of Giza stood as the tallest structure in the world for over 3,800 years. That's longer than the entire history of most modern nations, and we're not just talking about height, we're talking about precision, scale, and ambition that's still mind-blowing today. The Great Pyramid, built around 4,500 years ago during Egypt's fourth dynasty, is the one most of us think of when we talk about pyramids. It's part of a larger complex of structures built as tombs for the pharaohs, a kind of eternal resting place meant to ensure their journey to the afterlife. The fact that something built to last forever has actually survived for so long feels oddly poetic, doesn't it? These pyramids are a testament to human ingenuity, determination, and frankly, a bit of stubbornness. Now, the construction itself, how did they do it? This was all done before cranes, before power tools, even before the wheel was commonly used. The stones used in the Great Pyramid were massive, some weighing as much as 80 tons. They were quarried, transported, and placed with such precision that you can barely slip a piece of paper between them. Scholars believe ramps were likely used, and there's a lot of debate about how these ramps were constructed, straight, zigzagging, or maybe spiraling around the pyramid. Whatever the method, it's clear that it required an immense amount of planning, labor, and resources. What's equally amazing is the societal effort it took to build these structures. It wasn't just a few hundred people working on it. It's estimated that tens of thousands of workers were involved. They weren't all slaves, as is often imagined. Many were skilled laborers, and some might have even been conscripted farmers working during the Nile's flood season when farming wasn't possible. The project was as much a showcase of organizational genius as it was an architectural one. The why is equally intriguing. The pyramids weren't just about having a fancy tomb, they were deeply spiritual and symbolic. The ancient Egyptians believed in an afterlife, and the pyramids were part of a complex system designed to help the pharaoh ascend to the heavens. Their shape pointing skyward was no coincidence. It mirrored the sun's rays, which were considered a pathway to the gods. The alignment of the pyramids with celestial bodies also suggests that the builders had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. And let's talk about the numbers for a second. The Great Pyramid is estimated to have been built with around 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing between 2.5 and 15 tons. The base of the pyramid covers 13 acres, and its original height was 146.6 meters, 481 feet, though it's a bit shorter now due to erosion and the removal of its outer casing stones. These casing stones, by the way, were polished limestone, making the pyramid gleam brilliantly under the sun. Can you imagine what it must have looked like back then? A literal shining beacon in the desert. It's worth noting that the pyramids weren't just standalone marvels. They were part of a larger complex that included smaller pyramids, temples, causeways, and even workers' villages. The level of planning that went into these complexes is astounding. They weren't just thinking about the now, they were creating something to last forever. What's perhaps most impressive about the pyramids is that they represent a moment in human history when we looked beyond mere survival. Building these structures wasn't about utility, it was about legacy, about reaching for something greater than ourselves. They're a reminder of what we're capable of when we come together to achieve a shared vision. Standing in their shadow today, it's impossible not to feel a sense of awe. These pyramids have watched over the desert for millennia, through countless wars, natural disasters, and the rise and fall of civilizations. They've become symbols of endurance, resilience, and the sheer audacity of human ambition. They make you wonder what people 4,500 years from now will look back on as our Great Pyramids, don't they?